What if the trash in your backyard could become something beautiful? Not just useful, but meaningful. In this video, we'll show you how discarded things, bottles, buckets, broken bits, can turn into charming garden art. Welcome to Revive Nature, where small ideas grow into big inspiration. You'll find timestamps below. Feel free to skip around. And if something sparks your curiosity, drop a comment. We read them. We care. If you enjoyed this video, don't just watch, recreate it. Make it yours. Maybe to you, I'm just a voice on the screen. But behind this project is a family, a dream, and a lot of late nights. Subscribing helps more than you know. It keeps this dream alive. Thank you for watching. Thank you for seeing me. In a quiet backyard kissed by early autumn sun, a once-forgotten fence came to life, not with climbing vines or pre-made decor, but with reborn beauty from glass bottle waste. From wine bottles to soda glass, their second life began with a single stroke of color: bold blues, soft purples, warm oranges, like petals caught in sunlight. Each bottle was hand-cut and reshaped with care. Their necks pointed outward like flower stems reaching for sky, their bases painted in layers of pastel and jewel tones. Some shimmered like morning dew, others blazed like marigolds under October skies. Chrysanthemums danced beneath them, anchoring the scene with blooming cheer. Tiny yards often lacked drama, but this fence became a canvas of vibrant rhythm. On windy afternoons, the glass caught the light and scattered it onto the stepping stones. Bees paused at nearby mums, while neighbors paused at the gate, asking, "Did you really make those flowers out of bottles?" Yes, beauty bloomed not from a catalog, but from the bin. In the far corner, where the fence met a low pergola, a single cobalt bottle glowed like stained glass. Around it, sedum and anemone hugged the earth, proving that charm doesn't need grandeur, just color, care, and a playful eye. This wasn't just decoration. It was a love letter to small gardens, and a declaration that trash, when seen through the right lens, could rival even the most expensive nursery art. The garden didn't just grow, it transformed. Not with soil alone, but with stories, of hands that painted, minds that imagined, and fences that bloomed with glass. Tucked behind the garden gate, just past a path of uneven stones and wind-tossed leaves, a quiet sound beckons, not birdsong, not wind, but the gentle trickle of water from a clay jug, old as memory itself. The kendi, once chipped and discarded, now leans with purpose on a mossy pedestal. From its weathered spout flows a slow stream into a stone basin, forming ripples that catch dappled sunlight through the trees. Around it bloom marigolds, golden bursts like laughter, and chrysanthemums, gentle and wise in their fading blush. This rustic water feature isn't just ornament. It's rhythm. It's breath. In the chaos of life, it speaks of stillness, the kind only found in gardens where love and time linger longer than seasons. The kendi, traditionally a vessel of nourishment, here becomes a vessel of reflection. Near the patio, a second jug rests against a low wooden bench, its terracotta body warmed by muted paints of sage and ochre. It hums quietly, pouring into a copper-lined trough filled with pebbles and fallen leaves. Behind it, sedum autumn joy leans in, its pinks deepening to burgundy as if listening. Tiny gardens don't need grandeur. They crave soul. And the kendi, humble and honest, gives just that. It invites touch, sound, and memory. Children drop petals in its pool. Elders sit beside it, lost in tea and thought. It's not flashy, but it feels alive. In a world that moves fast and forgets even faster, this clay jug-turned water bearer reminds us of what lasts: the beauty in reuse, the poetry in stillness, and the grace of giving something old a chance to flow again. Along the edge of a narrow stone path, barely wide enough for 2 feet side by side, something magical peeks from under the leaves. It isn't a flower, nor a weed, but a smile waiting to happen, a red and black ladybug. Not scurrying but still, a rock, painted and proud, guarding the garden trail. The painted stone ladybug pathway began on a whim, as many small joys do. A collection of forgotten river stones, smoothed by time, once sat by the shed. One afternoon, a paintbrush dipped in cherry red turned them into something alive. With little dots and bright black eyes, the ladybugs came to life, dozens of them, crawling joyfully along the path's curve. Children adore them. Neighbors pause. The sun bounces off their glossy backs, casting little shadows on the soil. And just beneath them, clusters of asters, golden marigolds, and autumn joy sedum bloom in unison, color answering color. In the quiet of fall, their vibrancy refuses to fade. Placed along patios, borders, and even on fence ledges, these hand-painted stones are more than cute. They are playful guardians of the garden. Each rock tells a story, of time spent, of reuse reimagined, of happiness made simple. Where some see trash, others see tiny canvases. These ladybugs don't cost much. They don't buzz or bite. But they stay, season after season, weathering wind and rain like tiny sentinels of joy. The path they line may be short, but it leads somewhere special, to a seat under a tree, a cup of tea on a porch, or simply a moment of peace in the garden's embrace. In their stillness, They invite us to slow down, to smile, and to remember that even the smallest things, like a rock in red paint, can brighten a day. Beneath the gentle arch of a small pergola, something unexpected takes flight, not real wings, but whispers of metal reborn into magic. Where rust once claimed forgotten scraps, color now reigns in the form of butterflies, dozens of them, dancing on wooden beams and bamboo trellises like fragments of a dream. The butterflies aren't factory-made. They were cut from old tin sheets, broken tools, bits of fencing. Their shapes are imperfect, but their charm is pure. Painted in rich autumn tones, burnt orange, deep teal, soft lavender, they cling to pergola posts and flutter in stillness. No two are alike, yet together they tell a story of transformation. Beneath them, the garden stirs with life. Japanese anemones sway in the breeze. Marigolds glow like sunbursts. Sedum stretches in clusters, catching dew from the pergola's shade. It's a corner of the yard where chaos becomes calm, and junk becomes gentle beauty. In tiny gardens, every surface matters. Walls, beams, fences, they become galleries. And this butterfly wall does more than decorate. It inspires. Each wing, carefully painted and curved, reminds us that even the discarded can fly again, with a little vision and love. Guests lean in to admire the details, the textures, the brush strokes, the quiet humor in a wing made from an old spoon. Children name them. Adults photograph them. And in the golden light of late afternoon, their colors seem to glow from within. This isn't just about upcycling. It's about reclaiming beauty from what others forget. It's about giving a tiny backyard a moment of wonder, where butterflies, though unmoving, make hearts flutter. In the smallest corner of the front yard, a spot once too awkward for flowers, too narrow for chairs, a tower rose, not of stone or steel, but of buckets. Old, dented, forgotten buckets, once homes for paint and soap water, now stood painted, proud, and blooming. The base was wide, sturdy, a pale green bucket with rust hidden beneath fresh strokes of color. Above it, a baby blue pail leaned gently to one side, spilling over with cascading sedum and a tumble of golden marigolds. Higher still, A blush pink can cradled soft chrysanthemums, their petals brushing the air like whispers. This was not a gardener's masterpiece in the traditional sense. It wasn't symmetrical. It didn't follow rules. But oh, how it charmed. Children passed by and counted the buckets. Neighbors slowed their steps to admire the playful colors. Some asked, "Where did you buy it?" Only to smile wider at the answer, "It was trash." The bucket tower became more than just a planter. It became a totem of joy, a vertical celebration of second chances. Painted in pastel tones to match the soft blooms of fall, it stood against the fence like a candy-colored sculpture rising from the earth. Mums and asters swayed in the breeze, their colors echoing the buckets beneath. At night, a single solar lantern flickered above, casting shadows that danced like petals on the wall behind. By day, bees visited each level like guests on a laddered porch. In tiny spaces, we often wish for more room. But sometimes, going up is enough. And when we do it with buckets, paint, and flowers, we don't just grow plants. We grow wonder. Just beyond the stepping stones, where the garden bed curves like a shoreline, a gentle shimmer draws the eye, not from flowers, but from glass. A curtain of hanging bottles, kissed in hues of turquoise and seafoam, dances in the light like droplets frozen mid-fall. This is no ordinary garden edging. It is seascape made tangible. Glass bottles once destined for bins now sway in rhythm with the breeze, catching and scattering sunlight like liquid jewels. Hung delicately on a low bamboo rod, they frame the flower bed like a tide lapping at the earth. Around them, mums bloom in coral and cream. Asters lean into the light. Sedum folds open like ocean foam. There's movement here, even in stillness, a whisper of waves and salt and sky. Each bottle has a past. A lemonade shared. A soda on a summer step. A forgotten jar from an old kitchen. Now, their new life speaks through sound and color. Gentle clinks when the wind turns, a blue flash when the sun drops low. The garden becomes not just a space, but a feeling. Children are drawn to it, tracing fingers over smooth glass. Adults pause longer than expected, tilting their heads to watch the light shift. It's hypnotic. So simple. So unexpected. A seascape without water, alive in a yard far from shore. In tiny patios and small backyards, where space is a luxury, art like this gives depth. It draws the eyes outward, upward, beyond the fence. It says, even the smallest space can dream of the sea. This garden doesn't need to be near the ocean. The ocean now lives here, not in waves, but in glints of blue glass, the rustle of mums, the hush of wind through bottles. In a world eager to discard, this garden reminds us to imagine, and to let even trash tell a story worth watching. There's a kind of quiet that only a garden can offer, not the silence of absence, but the stillness of presence. And in one tiny yard, where space is precious and peace is priceless, a Zen-inspired border hums with that silence, one painted pebble at a time. The stones were chosen not for perfection, but for balance. Smooth, palm-sized pebbles in shades of charcoal, ivory, and soft gray were laid in a single line, not forced, but gently placed. Some bore faint brushstrokes, painted patterns resembling water ripples or mountain peaks, each one subtle, intentional. Alongside the pebbles, Japanese anemones rise like dancers in motionless performance. Ornamental grasses wave in slow rhythm, brushing over the stones as if in gratitude. Sedum clumps add weight, while tiny bamboo stakes frame the scene in quiet reverence. It's not a bold garden. It doesn't shout in color or shape, but it soothes. The border doesn't just separate space, it defines a mood. Here, you breathe differently. Here, you notice the texture of things, the grain in a stone, the way the morning dew rests on petals, the way light pools in the spaces between. This Zen border began with leftover pebbles and leftover time. But with each addition, it grew into more than design. It became ritual. A few minutes each morning to adjust a stone. An hour in the afternoon to paint new ones in calming hues. It became mindfulness made visible. In gardens large or small, space isn't measured in square feet, but in feeling. And this tiny border, curved gently through chrysanthemums and mums, delivers peace in slow doses. Sometimes, beauty doesn't bloom. Sometimes, it simply rests, like a painted pebble waiting to be seen. Sometimes, the simplest charm lies in the fence, that quiet line between the world and your own little corner. And when that fence carries candy pots, those timeless clay vessels, it becomes more than a boundary. It becomes a vertical garden of memory and beauty. Each candy hangs gently by twine, rocking ever so slightly in the breeze. Their bodies are painted in farmhouse tones, not loud, but warm. Creamy whites, soft sage, faded terracotta. Shades that belong in stories whispered on porches and kitchens that smell of bread and herbs. Inside them grow chrysanthemums with petals like sunshine caught in fall. Trailing herbs, thyme, oregano, even sprigs of mint, spill out and scent the air. Asters nod in agreement below, as bees tiptoe from bloom to bloom. This fence was once plain, strong, but silent. Now it hums with life. The candy vases hang at different heights, creating a rhythm of shape and shadow, like music in clay. And when the morning sun hits just right, their curves glow like embers. In small spaces, vertical beauty is a secret gift. A single plank can hold a dozen vessels. A narrow fence can hold a season's worth of color. And old jugs, once retired to the back shed, now hold stories again, in petal and leaf. Visitors often stop and tilt their heads. "Did you make these?" they ask, eyes lingering on the sway of the pots. And the answer is simple, not made, just reimagined. This is a garden that speaks gently. It says, old things still hold. Clay can carry water, or flowers. A fence can hold walls, or wonder. And a backyard, no matter how small, can bloom not just with plants, but with feeling. In the quiet corner of a weathered patio, where bricks remember footfalls and leaves gather with the breeze, an old bucket sits, dented, dull, and stubbornly proud. It once carried water, maybe firewood. But today, it carries color. This is not just a planter. It's a memory-turned masterpiece. The bucket's steel body has been gently brushed with pastel paint, a soft blush that catches the morning sun, its rim kissed in ivory. Within it, marigolds bloom like golden lanterns, and asters nod with purple grace. Sedum clusters lean lazily over the edge, blurring the line between container and earth. Beside it sits another, once forgotten under a shed. It now holds ornamental kale, deep green with edges tinged in violet, like ruffled velvet. The patina of rust is covered, not erased, just softened under layers of sage and cream. Together, they form a pair, two buckets, two rebirths, anchoring a patio that feels suddenly more like a painting than a place. This patio isn't large. A chair, a step, a cracked watering can. But with these ember-to-art planters, it becomes sanctuary. A space where function meets flair. Where trash hums with triumph. No cinematic polish here. No illusions. Just color meeting metal, flower meeting vessel. Real textures. Real warmth. Neighbors smile when they pass. Some crouch to sniff the blooms, others snap pictures for inspiration. I've got a few old buckets, one says. I never thought. That's the magic. These aren't store-bought pots. They are stories. Of hands that sanded. Of hearts that painted. Of gardens that grow even from what's thrown aside. This tiny patio didn't change its size, only its soul. When the wind stirs softly in the late afternoon, it doesn't come with silence, it comes with song. A gentle clink, a soft chime, a whisper of glass meeting glass, all from a wall made not to divide, but to delight. The bamboo and bottle wind garden wall rises humbly in the corner of a tiny backyard. It is built from slender bamboo poles, aged to honey gold, arranged vertically like the ribs of an old fan. Between them, bottles hang, green, blue, amber, collected over time, polished by care, each suspended by twine and love. They dance when the wind calls. Not with force, but with grace. Their bodies twist slightly, catching light and sound in equal measure. Their song is irregular, imperfect, and wholly natural, like rain on leaves or laughter through windows. Behind the wall, marigolds sway. At its base, mums bloom with brave color. Sedum leans in, as if to listen. A bench nearby invites stillness, a place to sit and let the wind tell stories through glass. The bottles, once discarded after dinner parties or late-night teas, now live again, not to hold, but to sing. And the bamboo, once part of a forgotten fence, now frames their stage. Together, they turn a narrow garden space into an experience, not just seen, but felt. In the cooler months, the bottles glisten with dew. In summer, they shimmer like ocean glass. Children reach to touch them, eyes wide. Grown-ups pause to listen, eyes soft. Everyone who visits remembers this wall, not because it's grand, but because it's alive. Gardens are not just about what grows. They're about what lingers, sound, scent, memory. And in this garden, the wind plays its music, every note recycled, every chorus reborn. It is a wall that doesn't shut out, but opens up, to imagination, to beauty, to the idea that trash, with time and thought, can speak in the language of art.